Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Alrighty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and I are back, and we have probably a little bit of a shorter show for you today because we only have 3 Bucks games, we only have 4 Brewer games, and we're at the point in the Bucks season where all of our recaps are becoming pretty abbreviated because there's not much going on as the season winds down and now is over. So today we have the last 3 Bucks games of the season, and then we're going to give kind of the layout of what we're looking at for the Bucks off-season plan because Jake and I have been working on that for a couple days, and we have a pretty extensive off-season content schedule planned out. So we'll give you guys the rundown on that as well before we switch to the Brewers. But let's start with the third last game of the season. Let's go to Bucks Pistons. Jake, what did you take away from the Bucks loss to the Pistons?
Yeah, so I'll start with something I wanted to talk about. Good effort in the first quarter. It was a solid, good effort quarter, good energy. Shots were falling. Ball was moving pretty well. Then the second quarter came, and pretty much everything we've been seeing for the last couple of months kind of came to fruition with lack of offensive identity, yada, yada. I could tell you guys everything, but I'll need to make everybody relive what was going on. I did think that Ryan Rollins looked solid as a shot creator when the Bucks offense did break down. So he ended the game over 20 points again. Looked solid as a shot creator. Jericho Sims. I'll talk about Jericho Sims. 11, 11, and 10 on 3 of 6 shooting from the field. Jericho Sims triple-double is something I did not anticipate I'd be talking about during the season. At any point, no matter how the season ended, I did not expect to talk about a Jericho Sims triple-double.
I don't think a triple-double was on Jericho Sims' bingo card, much less any Bucks fans.
And it's fair. And let alone the triple-double being with points, rebounds, and assists. Now,
right.
If you were going to give him one, you'd be like, damn, maybe he had a crazy day of the defense and he had like 10 blocks. Like, that would be something like, oh, okay. I can see that realistically.
I could 100% see Miles Turner having a blocks triple-double.
Yeah, he's a guy that can get up there. He can have plenty of games where he has 7 or 8 when Giannis is healthy and things are working correctly like they were supposed to.
Yep.
But Jericho Sims, good game for him. And I just wrote down just 0 defensive effort. I am just over talking about transition defense, and that is easily my first or second main concern when I'm talking about off-season stuff. When we're going to go into our stuff, we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. I don't want to let out things because I've been noticing, okay? I've been watching. I have a lot of things I could say. I could literally just go on a tangent right now for probably about a half an hour. I'm telling you right now.
Only half an hour?
Well, before I start really cussing and getting mad at some things. But I could talk easily for a half an hour about things that I would fix and things that I want right now, right off the rip. Off the top of my head with no notes, I could talk for a half an hour about things that I want to fix. But we will get into that stuff later. But hi, hello, how's everybody doing? Dan, just kidding. But yeah, going into the off season, I'm going to be taking a lot of notice of defense and transition defense in these coaches and players that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, as far as the Pistons game goes for me, the offense from AJ Green got off to a good start. He made 3 of his 4 threes in the first quarter. And then looking at Taurean Prince, he was 5 for 8 from the 3-point line. That's fantastic. He was sniping. And Cormac Ryan also, he had good efficiency to score 16 points. He was 6 of 9 on field goals and 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. You mentioned Jericho Sims' first career triple-double. Some of his assists, I think, were actually really great passes. Like he had one really nice backdoor pass to AJ Green. But I think a big chunk of his assists just come from him keeping the ball moving. And the other part of it being him grabbing offensive rebounds. So for him to just grab an offensive rebound, turn, take one pivot, and find somebody who's streaking back towards the basket, like an AJ Green or a Taurean Prince or a Ryan Rollins, and finding those guys on the 3-point line, he could probably average like 3 assists next year with just semi-regular rotational minutes. Ryan Rollins, like you said, I agree. I think he played well overall. He did a good job finishing in the paint. His decision-making was a little bit questionable at times, and his ball handling could be better, but those are the things that we've been looking for him to improve on. And three-point shooting was kind of rough. He was only 1 for 6 against the Pistons, but he made all 6 of his free throws, so that was good. We did have a game 2 weeks ago where he struggled at the free throw line. I think he finished 3 for 6 in one of those games, but 6 to 6 at the free throw line is really good. 23 points, 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. So good game from Ryan Rollins. And then Ousmane Dieng, his step back's pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, since 2021, I've felt pretty strongly that Drew Holiday has the best step back in the league. Ousmane Dieng might be the one to dethrone Drew Holiday's step back as my favorite. Like, it's
He
that
needs a little bit more efficiency, but I agree with you.
the 100%. His efficiency was a little bit better now that the Bucks actually had a point guard playing with him. Like, he kind of struggled the games with no Ryan Rollins and no Kevin Porter Jr. But when one of those two was available, he looked better when he didn't have to do basically the starting point guard job. But he finished 17 points on 13 shots, 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, which is great, and then 5 rebounds and 4 assists. So it was good to see him be a little bit more efficient, even just a small bit. I mean, that's just under 50%, and then 50% from 3. So not going to complain about that at all. Going into the Nets game, second last game of the season, last home game of the season, Cormac Ryan got the start. He scored 7 in a row in the first quarter at one point. He had 7 of 12 of the Bucks' points, had 18 points in the first quarter out of 38. And he finished with 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Stick around for the Bucks 76ers recap because I have something very specific to say about Cormac Ryan, and Jake has already patted me on the back a couple times for it.
Yes, sir.
AJ Green, I think, actually, this was kind of a big takeaway for me from this game. AJ Green played very well in pick and roll situations. This is actually something that does matter for next season. For him to be making good passes, setting smart screens. He tried a fucking tip slam, by the way.
Yeah, he was this close, dude. He was literally this close.
He got kind of bumped as he was going up, but dude.
The ball kind of rolled off his hand, but he was this close.
Dude, that would have been insane.
Yeah.
He needed 4 3-pointers to tie third for the single season makes record. He tied it in the early third quarter, and then a couple minutes later, he moved into third. He tied Malik Beasley for second in the middle of the fourth quarter, and then moved into second on his way to a career high 11 3-point makes. That's a franchise record and his career record. And I'm going to say one more thing about AJ also for the final game of the season. Dustin, I mean, yeah, it's the season was bad, but I still like watching the Bucks. Like, I still get excited when there's a Bucks game on. You know, it's just it feels like, hey, I'm excited that there's a basketball game on.
I wouldn't say that. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'm not happy that the season is over.
Yeah. You're happy that this season is over.
I'm happy that we can be back into a state of unlimited optimism, to be honest with you, because I prefer that. That's the state that I want to be in mentally. But I'm happy that we get to plan some things and talk about things, and we get to live in a world where, you know, we get to choose on our podcast, does Giannis stay, does Giannis go? Like, we get to choose that. We don't have to listen to Shams, you know, spew his garbage all over everything. So I'm excited. I'm excited for next year. I think next year could be completely different with a new coach. Like, a lot of optimism to be thrown around Milwaukee, in my opinion.
Yeah. Ousmane Dieng followed a massive poster, which was super awesome. Like, he got like 8 inches off the ground and still somehow threw down a tomahawk dunk, which was sweet. And he followed that up with a really good court vision pass to Taurean Prince for 3-pointer. He finished with 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 12 assists.
Yeah.
On a night where AJ Green made 11 3-pointers and set a franchise record, and AJ Green was going crazy, it got lost in the shuffle big time that Ousmane Dieng dropped 12 assists in this game.
Yeah.
Showing like true point forward ability. Dustin asked, will Wisconsin bring back Greg? I hear stuff around campus that they're going to get rid of him. I think I just saw actually that they just extended his agreement until 2031.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Evan Flood tweeted that out maybe 45 minutes ago.
Okay.
So yeah. Last couple things I had on the Nets games. Taurean Prince had a crazy catch in a corner, made a 3, got a steal, hit a transition pull-up 3. Like, that's how you know a guy's feeling good from the 3-point line, when he's pulling up stuff like that. Love that for him. And he played, I think, just pretty good in the third quarter specifically. He made 4 threes in the third quarter out of the 6 that he made in the game. He finished with 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists.
Mm-hmm.
So Torian Prince doing a little bit of everything. And then this being his last game of the season, Miles Turner, I think he did a good job controlling the defensive paint, and he played really well as the roll man in the pick and roll with AJ Green. That is something that I noted earlier in the season, that those two have some really good chemistry. And he finished with 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 blocks. So pretty solid game from Miles Turner. So
yeah.
What did you take away? Go ahead.
I'm going to respond to Dustin real quick, and then I'm going to go on to the Bucks game. So, first of all, not lame. I like Greg Gard. Maybe the next athletic director could call back a guy like Big Cat or Frank Kaminsky, because they're trying to give money to the basketball program and the football program instead of taxing the state of Wisconsin. I know it's only 40 cents per person per taxpayer, but maybe instead of taxing the people that are fans, maybe get it from the people who actually have money and want to have a winning team as well. That's just an idea for the next athletic director.
Yeah.
Now,
instead of having to choose the money for John Blackwell to go to 3 people.
Yeah, seriously. Bucks Nets, AJ Green, like you said, franchise record, 11 3-pointers on 16 attempts. That's super fun to watch. Super efficient, by the way. When he is pretty clearly one of the better shooters in the NBA and in a league where it is all about shooting. When that guy gets an open look and he's feeling right, watch out, dude. Straight flamethrower. I know that we're supposed to be kind of cheering for the Bucks to lose, but man, winning was so fun. It was so nice to see the Bucks win a basketball game, man. Like you said, career high 35. His 11 3-pointers past Dame and Ray Allen. Ray Allen had it in 2001 and Dame Lillard a couple of years ago. Ryan Rollins. Oh, Ryan Rollins. I wrote down Ryan. I meant to talk about Cormac Ryan. This guy is a straight-up hooper. Guy can get a bucket from anywhere. It's his first career start. He gave you 28, 5, and 3. Shot 10 of 17 from the field, 5 of 9 from the three-point line, and on 34 minutes. So pretty good efficiency from him. You talked pretty in depth about his first quarter, so nice done. And another double-double for Torian Prince, 18 and 10, 6-11 from 3. He is 100% back on this roster next year if he wants to be. And absolutely. I know I said it next year, but I'm going to keep saying it in the offseason as well. I think I really underrated the importance of Torian Prince. And he is much better player than I thought he was. Good length, effort guy, defense, can shoot the three-pointer, willing passer, plays within the offense, plays within the defense. He's a pretty good player. Also got to talk about how Liddell is a moron. You're a fringe roster guy to start with, and you're going to get kicked out of a meaningless game because you got fouled. Also, last thing I'm going to say about this game, I'm taking 6'10", 250 over 6'6", 220 any fucking day in a fight. Sorry, had to be said.
Yeah. Trying to give a forearm shiver to Jericho Sims was a choice.
What are we doing here?
All right, go to the final game of the season. I'm going to let you go first because I want to kind of end on the things that I want to say because I want to flex myself. I'm not going to lie. Yep. I want to say the things that I think are smart. So, not that you don't have smart things to say. Not saying that. Just saying.
Yeah, no,
I want to say my stuff.
Not taking offense to it because I think I have smart things to say as well. But I have pretty much nothing to say about this game. It seemed like the Bucks didn't really care, honestly. Losing by 20 last game, I'm just like, all right. It was something, Milwaukee. It was something in 2020, 2025, 2026. But Jang, Ryan, and Sims, those are nice core pieces who could be good depth going into 2027. Jang needs to get the go-to shot from the mid-range. That's probably the one thing I would work on for him. He needs to get in the gym with either one, Chris Middleton, and or Carmelo Anthony. A mid-post game with his size and passing ability would be nasty, bro. Plus he can see over a lot of people, bro. Imagine him with Melo package from the mid-post game, bro. Nasty. He's quick enough and long enough to get to the rim with one dribble. If he could just rise up and shoot over the top of you, again, he's a willing passer. Can run some action on the weak side of the floor. Oh, my goodness, dude.
And the ability to hit the step back.
Yes, and, put that together with a guy like Jericho Sims, who's a good rim finisher, and a decent rim protector. If he gets himself a baby hook, he could play some serious minutes on offense. Then he's not just a lob guy, right? Then you can throw it down to him. He can give you a baby hook from either hand. I feel like he has enough touch.
So you were just saying that the guys that Usman Jeng should work with. You know who Jericho Sims should work with?
Who's that?
Robin Lopez.
Oh, I like that.
Dude, his jump hook was automatic.
Yeah.
It literally didn't matter if he caught the ball within 8 feet of the rim. Jump hook bucket.
I'm with that. Yeah, dude, just seriously get yourself a little baby hook. Then in trouble times, they can throw it down you. You can figure it out. You can still be the lob threat that you are because you can still jump out of the gym and you're very strong. So that's something I'd work on with Jericho Sims. Same thing with Jang. Now, talk about Cormac Ryan. He showed that he belongs on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a really nice transition piece for you personally. He showed great hustle, good scoring ability, something that the Bucks desperately needed off the bench much earlier in this season was a guy like Cormac Ryan getting buckets off the bench like he was. He went on the average 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists on 52% from the field, 45% from 3, and 92% from the free throw line. So 50, 40, 90. Now, he played pretty sparingly, but I still have it up on my phone, so I'm going to say it. Where is this? Right here. Hold on 1 second. It's loading back up. I wanted to talk about his April because his April was nasty. In April, he played 7 games. He averaged 33 minutes per game. He averaged 19.6, 3.9, 2.6, and 1 steal on 54% from the field and 47.9% from the three-point line. That's nasty, dude.
And I said to you, if he does that over the course of a season, and obviously I'm not expecting that, if he does that over the course of the season, that's Klay Thompson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Go ahead, buddy. Floor's yours.
Okay. Bucks 76ers, AJ Green with no point guards playing in this game. He did a lot more ball handling, and I think he did pretty decent with it. I think it's something that the Bucks kind of did as Ryan Rollins was dealing with his injuries. Kevin Porter Jr. was out. Obviously, they forced Usman Jeng into the point guard role a lot, but AJ Green getting some more ball handling opportunities and being allowed to play as a playmaker a little bit. I think AJ Green grew as a basketball player towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Same thing with Sims. You said that a couple weeks ago, so I want to give you credit for that.
Hey, I say smart stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he tied Ray Allen's record for most three-pointers in franchise history. And then literally the next possession later, set the record for made three-pointers in franchise history. In a season where people spent a bunch of time questioning his role on the team, he literally set a franchise record. Not to mention the franchise record for threes in a game, but set a franchise record for threes in a season.
Literally playing his role.
And that's not even something that I think was maximized. There were times during the season where I'm like, AJ Green needs to be shooting double-digit three-pointers. He needs to be shooting 8 to 12 three-pointers a game. I feel like I spent the first 2 months of the season saying that.
Yep.
Imagine if he was shooting 8 threes, 12 threes a game the entire season. He might have hit 250.
Dude, if he gets 12 three-pointers a game, he's hitting 260, 270. I feel that with the actual offensive system, yes.
With a guy who is a willing defender, an okay ball handler, an okay passer, and a smart enough player to run pick and roll.
Yep.
But people want that guy traded because he's not worth $11 million a year. Get fucked.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
$11 million is chump change in today's NBA, dude.
Dude, for a guy that's going to give you as much as he is.
Never complains. Comes off the bench, starting, never complains, never causes problems. Dude, he's worth $17 million.
I agree. I mean, what's Duncan Robinson making, like 25?
AJ Green is worth $17 million, easily in my head.
Easily. Usman Jeng, he did get a lot of work in this game versus aggressive on-ball defense, so I think that's an opportunity for him to grow. Alex Antetokounmpo made the last shot of the season, so that was cool that they gave him a chance to go and make another 3, so that was cool that Alex Antetokounmpo got to score the last bucket of the season. And the last thing I wanted to say on the season is something that's going to kind of tie into our transition segment here, and it's Cormac Ryan. is who I want to end on. He got himself a tip slam off of a missed free throw by Andre Jackson Jr., which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about Cormac Ryan because people are labeling him as an AJ Green replacement, and I'm watching Cormac Ryan, and he's not afraid of the game being physical on either end of the court. And people are like, oh, he should replace AJ Green. We can then trade him. And it's because he came from an undrafted free agent. He was now a two-way player, and now he's playing with the Bucks. And so people want to label him as an AJ Green replacement because he's a shooter and he came from the herd and all of that. I don't see Cormac Ryan as an AJ Green replacement. I see Cormac Ryan as a Gary Trent Jr. replacement.
100%. I love that.
Looking at him, the not shying away from a physical game on either end of the court, that was a big thing for me. He is a physical defender. That stuck out to me. And then he's a shooter on top of that. Those are the things we wanted Gary Trent Jr. here to do. We wanted him to shoot, we wanted him to defend guards, and we wanted him to play physical. Give Cormac Ryan a shot to do those things.
Yeah, fuck it. He's going to be a lot cheaper.
And Jake gave you the numbers on what he did. That's what I see. I see Cormac Ryan as the Gary Trent Jr., Gary Harris replacement. You can get rid of two veterans, condense it down to one singular guy who costs a fraction of what those two guys would.
Yep.
I do still think Gary Trent Jr.'s got something in the tank. I don't think he needs to be like out of the league or anything, but I think he could benefit from a change of scenery. Gary Harris was just a depth guy, which is fine, but I think the Bucks could consolidate some of their depth by giving a guy like Cormac Ryan a standard NBA contract, which I think is going to be on the priority list this summer. I feel pretty strongly that Cormac Ryan is not going into the 26-27 season on a two-way deal. So that'll probably show up in our offseason discussion, and I'm just going to pull up the plan that Jake and I have. Our plan is literally 2 full pages of what we plan on doing as far as covering the offseason goes. And I just want to give everybody kind of the overview, which our 3 main topics of conversation are going to be coaching candidates, the draft, and transactions. Now, the draft and transactions might kind of overlap a little bit, but we'll talk about those when we do those individual shows. So right now, looking at the previous time that the Bucks were in this situation as far as coaching goes, when they let go of Budenholzer, they hired Adrian Griffin on June 5th. So we're going to have our coaching candidates show on May 13th.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be basically 4 weeks from today, May 13th. That's when we're going to have our coaching candidates show. Then a few weeks after that, June 3rd, that's when we're going to have our draft episode. So that's going to be the draft part of our show. Jake and I will discuss more on exactly how we're going to cover the draft for the Bucks. The lottery is on May 10th, so we'll know exactly what pick the Bucks will have right before we give our coaching candidates, and then we'll have a few weeks to plan out how we want to cover the draft once we know exactly what pick the Bucks have. Mm-hmm. And then the last one is going to be transactions. So this will be right before the draft because free agency starts right after the draft. Last year, it was the Monday after the draft. You could start agreeing to deals, quote unquote, agreeing to deals, but they weren't able to be finalized until the following Monday. So our draft is going to be June 3rd, and then our transaction show is going to be June 17th. So those are the 3 things that we're looking at. Now, Jake and I have some pretty big plans. Like I said, it's 2 full pages of how we plan on covering the Bucks offseason, and we're going to do it from 2 different lenses. And we want to do this in the sake of having, being analytically sound, but also like emotionally fluent at the same time. Like we want to be, kind of in touch with being realistic with the fan base and understanding that some people are going to want to trade Giannis. Some people aren't going to want to trade Giannis. And we're going to look at it from both lenses. So when we cover these coaching candidates, when we cover the draft, when we cover transactions, we're going to look at all of those things in both lenses.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have 2 sets of glasses that we're going to wear when we do these things to give both sides of the coin when we're talking about the Bucks offseason.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really looking forward to May 13th.
Yeah, me too. Our draft, or not our draft, our coaching candidates, honestly, I had a lot of fun doing it before the Bucks hired Adrian Griffin. And I even found our post from when we were looking at who our top candidates were. And Jordy Fernandez and Jay Larinaga and Sergio Scariolo being my 3, and then Sam Cassell, Charles Lee, and Mark Jackson being your 3. And several of those guys are head coaches.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be pretty happy with any of those coaches, honestly. I mean, and there was Bucks fans talking just this year, like, oh no, Sam Cassell's not an option. Like, I'm disappointed. Like, bro, and Charles Lee, bro, he helped turn the Hornets around.
Yeah. I mean, Jordy Fernandez was my number 1 guy. He's the head coach of the Nets now.
Yep.
I mean, I remember James Borrego being on my list, Dave Yeager being on my list, and he's an assistant with the Bucks. So, like, I was super happy when that hire happened. I'm still interested in keeping him around. But trust that Jake and I are going to go very in-depth with our coaching candidates like we did basically 3 years ago at this same time.
Yep.
So excited for that. I mean, it gives us a chance to flex some different knowledge other than just, the game recaps and stuff, which, we get the chance to show off some ball knowledge when we do these. But it's a whole different animal when we get into some of these offseason discussions.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We're going to transition over to the Brewers, and we got 4 Brewer games to talk about today. All right, so obviously not the best week of Brewers baseball, but being 8-8 after being 8-2 is a little bit of a bummer, but I don't think it's time to freak out just because the Brewers were 21-25 last season and won a franchise record number of games.
Yeah.
We're at the point now, unfortunately, the Brewers did lose Christian Yelich this week. He's going to be out until probably late May, so we're in a position where probably late April, early May, we get to add Quinn Priester to this team, and then in May we get to add Jackson Chourio, Andrew Vaughn, and Christian Yelich to this team. So if they can just tread water until then, the Brewers are going to be just fine. Yep. So let's start with the Nationals series, and honestly, the Nationals, they're plucky. They are plucky. I kind of feel like they're a little bit taking a page out of the Brewers' book. They're grinding at bats, and they're hitting the ball hard and just putting it in play, and their bullpen, which was bad coming into this series, was really good against the Brewers. So, Jake, let's go to Brewers, Nationals, Game 1. What did you take away from the first game?
Yeah, so Ashby on the bump to start this one. Not something I thought I was going to say. I really liked his role more as a middle long relief guy. I feel like that suits him. He'd come in as a power lefty with all of his breaking stuff and his good fastball, and he can really control the middle of games. Excuse me. So I'm at Chuck E. Cheese on Friday with my daughter and my girlfriend trying to watch this Brewers game and also watch out for all these tiny children that are like running underneath my feet. And I'm just like, stop. And then Ashby gives up runs in the first inning. And I'm like, why? Why did you do that? I'm so excited for these new jerseys. They debuted them this weekend. I got myself a nice little hat. I still like the logo. I don't care what anybody says. I like it. So, he goes two and a third. I didn't think he was going to come out for the second inning or even the third inning, to be honest with you.
Yep, I agree.
But 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and 4 Ks. Thank you for helping me cash that bet, by the way. I bet his over on the strikeouts, so heck yeah. But I thought that Chad Patrick looked pretty good in his 3 innings, 3 hits and a walk. The middle relief has been something that I don't think Brewers fans take seriously enough until it's a problem. It's one of those situations for me. So the Nats got 2 in the first. Brewers answered with a 3-run homer from Bowers. Nats tied in the 7th, and then we get to a complete collapse in the 9th inning. But before that happens, the Brewers have bottom 6. They have 2 on and 1 out. This is where the game was lost. Not just the 9th inning. This is exactly where the game was lost.
I agree.
You have 2 on, 1 out. You had, I forgot who was on. Was it Bowers got a single, and then Frelick got on with catcher's interference, correct?
Yep.
And then Perkins got a fly out. Hamilton, did he fly out to left or a pop out or something?
Hamilton fouled out, yep.
Yeah, it was a foul ball to left field. I remember that. So you get those 2 at bats, and then immediately after that, the Nationals are able to tie this game, and everybody's kind of deflated after that. You had an opportunity. Brewers baseball is like you said a couple years ago. It's just lily pad to lily pad, and you just keep the train moving. And the Brewers, honestly, offensively, have not been doing that lately. They haven't been grinding out at bats. We had so much fun the first 10 games with the Brewers grinding out at bats and, any way on, bunting,
Drag
singles,
him, all
doubles.
that.
I mean, everything. And they haven't been doing that. The Nationals, credit to them, they did a good job controlling that. But I have to ask, man, we'll answer it after last night's game as well, but what is wrong with Trevor McGill? Is the velo down? Is he tipping pitches?
It's not even the velocity that's down. I will talk about Trevor McGill because I have an idea when we get to the first game of the Blue Jays series. That's when I want to talk about it. So if you want to say anything before that, go ahead. But that's when I had stuff written down.
No, I just wanted to throw it out there. But Bauer's 3 RBIs and a home run is third of the year. Brewers 1 for 5 runners in scoring position. I don't want a number 5 at the end of that. I want a much bigger number of runners in scoring position because that's what's been successful for us the last couple of years. And the last couple of years when we have had only 5 or 6 or even 4 people runners in scoring position, that's when we've been struggling. And the bullpen gives up a couple of runs in the ninth, and everybody's just asking about Trevor McGill instead of what's wrong with the offense because the offense is at fault too, in my opinion.
That's literally what I wrote down at the bottom of that was the last note that I had was that McGill got burned, but scoring 0 runs from the 2nd to the 9th inning was worse.
Yep.
And to your point on not having more guys with runners in scoring position, the thing that stands out with me, the phrase that I use every single year is stacking traffic, which goes to that point that once you start stacking traffic and you have 1 or 2 guys on base and you get some guys in scoring position, that's when you're going to be, moving the line. Yeah. And that's when you're going to end up with multiple guys getting at bats with runners in scoring position. And we can extend this conversation even into last night's game when Joey Ortiz gets up with an opportunity to win the game for the Brewers with the bases loaded and strikes out, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Joey Ortiz is fucking horrible." But again, that was one opportunity that they had in that situation. You increase the opportunities, you're going to increase the amount that you score, even if it is Joey Ortiz batting 155.
Yep.
155 over 4 chances this year versus 155 over 30 chances, they're going to increase the amount of runs that you're scoring just by increasing the number of chances that you give yourself to do so. So when you shrink those amount of scoring chances, like you said, to just a couple opportunities that they had in this game outside of the home run, that makes it a lot harder and it makes those smaller numbers stand out way more versus when you look at the opportunities that the Brewers get 2 or 3 at-bats in this game with the bases loaded versus 1. It makes all those things magnified because when you can increase the sample size in a baseball game, which, you gave me credit for saying that baseball is the zoom out sport. When you have a tiny sample size and you have to zoom in and that's the only thing you can look at because those are the only samples that you have, it makes it amplified. It makes it magnified. It makes all those things feel like they carry more weight. Murphy used Aaron Ashby as an opener to combat a bunch of lefties at the top of their order, and I think that's a good idea on paper. It did backfire. I do think with looking at Chad Patrick, I feel like he is a guy who has earned some more trust than having to have a guy open for him to avoid some lefties at the top of an order. I feel like Brandon Sproat is a guy who could benefit from something like that more so than Chad Patrick. Chad Patrick has more experience. He did it for 2/3 of last season and in the playoffs. I feel like Chad Patrick is a guy that has earned some trust to just be the guy you give the ball to every 5 days.
Especially the playoff performance. He earned the respect in the playoffs.
Yeah. Ashby did bounce back for a 1-2-3 second and got a nice strikeout of James Wood in the top of the 3rd. So with that, I wanted to say thank you to Jake Bauers for hitting a home run at an actually important time. And I put in my notes that I'll dial it down for a little bit because it bothered me last year when Jake Bauers would hit 2 home runs in a 3-game series with the Pirates and everybody would be like, man, Jake Bauers is such a good power hitter. I'm sorry. I don't care about solo home runs against the Pirates in July. But for him to hit a 3-run home run when the Brewers were down 2-0 after they tried to do a strategy thing, that mattered to me more. So I wanted to give credit for that because I'm pretty critical of Jake Bauers. So I want to make sure that when things are going well, that I credit them where it's due. The last couple things, Chad Patrick, he came in. He faced the minimum amount of batters for the first 2 2/3 innings, then went single, ground out single, had an 0-2 to 3-2 walk, and that's what ended his day. And again, I feel like he's a guy who has earned more trust than that. Even if he's only giving you 5 innings at a time, I still feel like it's better than pairing him with Ashby and trying to get 6 innings.
Fair.
He finished with 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, and no earned runs, which is decent. But again, I feel like you can get more length out of him if you just give him the ball to start the game and let him do his thing.
Right.
Last thing, Angel Zerpa came in, got a called 2-0, turned into an 0-2 thanks to William Contreras, followed by a ground into double play by C.J. Abrams, which is great defense by Bryce Durang and David Hamilton. That's a really tough guy to double up. So that was a good job by the Brewers in the 6th inning to get out of that one. Moving on to Brewers Nationals game 2. I want to give Kyle Harrison some credit. It takes guts to take a ball off the knee on a pretty bad throw by Gary Sanchez, who's been forced into playing some first base and had kind of a rough day playing first base. But, I mean, the Brewers really have no options because the other guy that would be an option, being Tyler Black, is also on the injured list in AAA.
Yep.
So that's why we had earlier this season that Brandon Lockridge was taking some reps at first base. He's probably our emergency first baseman right now.
Probably.
Right now, without Andrew Vaughn, we got to grind through what we can with Jake Bauers and Gary Sanchez. That's just where we're at. It's just a reality of the Brewers situation. I love Blake Burke, and he was even one of my guys who was like a surprise guy that could make his debut this season. I don't see that happening until it's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, definitely not in April.
Right. Even though he's absolutely mashing in Double-A, he's not coming anywhere near the Brewers in April or May or
Bro,
June. For that
he's
matter.
making you look like Einstein right now.
Hey, certified ball knower over here. But I mean that's just the reality of where we are. That Gary Sanchez is going to be playing some first base, especially against left-handed pitching. Like I said, it's gutty by Kyle Harrison to stay in after that. Got a 1-2-3 inning right after that. He pitched decent for 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits. Having the 2 walks is a little high and 2 earned runs. The thing that actually stood out to me about Kyle Harrison's performance is him only having 1 strikeout after having 6 and 8 in his first 2 outings. So that to me was like his stuff wasn't playing quite as well. Going to be something to kind of monitor in his next couple starts. There was a report today actually that they're going to push him back by a couple of days. But it's not something I think he's going to go on the injured list for. So that's good. Brandon Sproat actually followed Kyle Harrison after 2/3 of an inning by Grant Anderson, and I think he pitched very well. He's gone from really bad to okay to decent. He's trending in the right direction, which is very encouraging for a guy who had as rough of a first start as Brandon Sproat did. So that's like I said, that's very encouraging. If anything else this week is not going to get you excited, Brandon Sproat trending in the right direction from game to game to game, that is encouraging. He had 3 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, had 3 strikeouts, did have 3 walks, only gave up 1 earned run. He does still need to get the walks down, but overall, he is improving, which is very good. This was the game for me, the Brewers losing 3-1, that I said to you that I feel that the Brewers need to be more aggressive at the plate. They went through stretches of this last season where like I even pulled the numbers and I'm like looking at the number of first pitch strikes versus the number of first pitch swings and started looking at it and looking at maybe the Brewers are being a little too patient. And yes, there's something to be said about grinding out at bats, but I feel like right now they're letting too many good pitches go, waiting for a perfect pitch.
There's a correlation between basketball with that somewhere.
I mean, yes, you want to pass up good shots for great shots, but, I mean, having a shot clock violation or a strikeout doesn't help you when you could have had some good shots.
Yeah.
So taking a strikeout by swinging at a bad third strike on a breaking ball that dives out of the zone or a ball that's 3 inches off the plate, and you're like, oh, my God, why did he swing at that? Why didn't he swing at the strike before it? And in my mind, it's because they're being a little too patient. So I'd like to see the Brewers be a little bit more aggressive. That was my takeaway after the second loss to the Nationals.
Yeah. I had pretty similar notes on Sprout, to be honest with you. I was like, dude, if this guy gets a little bit better control and gets the walks down, they have something.
Yeah.
I can see why he's ranked as number 5 prospect for the Brewers. Contreras hit a homer in the ninth to try to claw back in this one after the offense was pretty abysmal for 90% of this game. So you're going from the second and ninth inning in game 1, and then the first inning through the 8th inning with no runs. That is unacceptable. Brewers 0 for 6 runners in scoring position. They're 1 for 11 in the series at this point. In game 1, they had 4 total hits. Bowers, Contreras, Bowers in the 6th, and Terang infield single in the 7th. And in this game, they had 2 hits. So I wrote it down because I was like, this is crazy. The Brewers' offense in 2 games had 6 hits and 4 runs versus the Nationals. James Wood for the Nationals, 5 hits, a run, 2 RBIs, and a walk. So James Wood is putting up by himself pretty much what the Brewers are doing as a team through 2 games in this series. That's all I had.
It doesn't get better when you go to game 3, so you might as well just keep going and keep talking about James Wood.
Oh, James Wood murdered Milwaukee this weekend.
He's real good, by the way. Like, I actually really like James Wood, just not this weekend.
The fact that he is as big as he is and he's only 23 years old is amazing to me.
Can I say a hot take?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's basically the National League left-handed version of Aaron Judge right now.
Whoa.
That's how he's playing. Like, he's not as high of an average, but that's how he's playing to begin this season.
Yeah, that's a crazy take. I mean, he had a home run.
I'm not saying he's going to be Aaron Judge, but that's what he's fucking playing like right now.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Judge, yeah. I mean, again, James Wood is only 23, so who says that he doesn't turn into a multiple-time MVP? 1 hit in 3 at-bats, 2 runs, RBI, one of them being a home run. Played very good on Sunday. The home run being the only blemish that Woodruff had. I thought Woodruff was really, really good in this one.
Mm-hmm.
6 innings, 3 hits, earned run, a walk, and 6 Ks. I mean, that's a good start. That's a start where you should win that game. The Brewers, even though they had explosive offense and 0 late game control. That's the first couple of things that I wrote down about this game. It just equals to another frustrating loss for this team.
Yeah.
Uribe, he's got 0 confidence. He's gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning. Zerpa gave up 4 hits and 4 earned runs and a walk. He's just all over the place right now. Ashby comes in and he cleans up the mess from Zerpa. And then Woodford gave up 2 hits and an inning pitched. But Terang, 2 home runs. We wasted a multi-home run game from Bryce Terang. 2 RBIs for him. He's up to 9. He's up to 3 home runs on the year already. So he's off to a good start this season. Jake Bowers, another home run, number 4 for him. 10 RBIs he's up to. And Gary Sanchez, after the Brewers had the lead, gave the lead up, he hits a monster home run in response to tie the game back up. So Gary and Jake Bowers are carrying this offense right now.
Yep.
This game, it's just unexplainable. 5 straight L's is the most in the Murphy era. Obviously, this is the 3rd season of Pat Murphy being our coach. But, yeah, there's really not much else to say except the back end, the middle and back end of this bullpen has to figure it out or this team is not going to be successful.
Right, and it's something that the Brewers have built their identity on over the last couple of years is their bullpen.
Yep.
Even going back to like 2018 when we were talking about like Jeffers, Knebel, even John Axford's second stint with the Brewers, like obviously the Josh Hader days and Devin Williams, like we've bridged to this point over the last 8 years, building an identity on that. So yep. I mean, there's plenty of stuff out in that bullpen. Even Woodford, I think, has some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of putting it all together. And again, when it comes to the pitching lab, I mean, we're in the blind trust stage, and that's kind of still where I'm at. Just might need to shuffle it around a little bit, give some guys, a little bit different feels. Spoiler alert to something I'm going to say after last night's game.
Yep.
I agree with you. Brandon Woodruff had a great start against the Nationals. For him to get a sword out of James Wood. He had James Wood looking kind of silly with the first strikeout that he had. He didn't know or if he wanted to swing or not. and Brandon Woodruff made him look silly. Got a pop out and another strikeout out of the first inning. Came out just absolutely pounding the zone. He was perfect the first time through the order. In the top of the fourth, he got behind James Wood 3-1 for a solo home run. And Bill Schrader was talking about it, and it's he gave him a pitch that's not even a strike for him to hit that out. It's a pitch that would have been like probably 2 inches inside. It is what it is. Woodruff was done after 6 pretty good innings, only at 70 pitches, and it's one of those things where like they're off Monday. There's really not need to push Woodruff, but you kind of wish, based on the way that the bullpen pitched in hindsight, that you had. But again, is pushing Woodruff to 90 pitches instead of 70 in an April game when you have your bullpen available, knowing that there's no game tomorrow. That's a situation you use your bullpen. That's just, honestly, I would go as far as to say that's a baseball 101 thing.
100%.
That's at the very least pitching usage 101.
Yep.
It was good to see Contreras absolutely balling at defensive challenges. I think he was 6 of 7 at one point. The one that he got wrong, it was a 3-2 pitch, and he was trying to steal a strikeout against James Wood. I'm not mad at that one at all. It's one of those things where, like, if you can get something to go your way and get lucky on something, like, I'm not going to be mad that you use the challenge for that. Jake Bauers had an error. He did make up for it by getting the run back with a home run, and actually in the next inning snagged a line drive that kept a run off the board, so I want to give credit to Jake Bauers for that. Bryce Terang hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 3rd inning to left center, hit a solo home run in the 5th inning to right center, evened it out. And, you talk about that, and you're like, we wasted a 2 home run from Bryce Terang and another home run from Jake Bauers, who's carrying the offense along with Gary Sanchez. The difference between those first 3 runs and those second 3 runs is one of them came on 3 home runs and one of them came on a 3-run home run. We're back to talking about stacking traffic. Guys, just fucking get on base. I don't care. Like Sal Frelick is hitting really poorly right now, but he's drawing walks and still getting on base that way. That's still helpful because then you can give Bryce Terang a chance to hit a multi-run home run instead of all these fucking solo shots.
Yep.
We've talked about it a whole bunch over the last 5 years since we started this show and been covering the Brewers. I don't give a shit if Freddie Peralta gives up solo home runs because they don't hurt you as much as the 3-run shots. Case in point, the 3rd game against the Nationals. Like, for the Brewers to lose a game where they hit 4 home runs, you'd think, they probably scored like 10 runs. No, they scored 6 on 4 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't account for anything else that should happen in the game. Like, we saw the Brewers score a bunch of 4-run innings last year just by getting guys on base and not hitting any home runs.
Yeah.
Earlier this season, they scored a game with 8 runs and no homers. They can get guys on base and get them around. It's just a matter of actually doing it. Abney Uribe and Zerpa, they couldn't put guys away. There was a leadoff double. That guy was down 1-2. A 1-out single that the guy was down to 2-2. Zerpa versus James Wood had him down 0-1. And then 3 straight balls. There was a single that went from 0-2 to 2-2, a single that went from 0-2 to 1-2, and the Nationals just scoring runs like crazy, just keeping the lineup moving. That's pretty much where I was at with Game 2 against the Nationals. So last one that we have today is Game 1 against the Blue Jays. Now, in my mind, Brandon Woodruff passed off some tape over to Jacob Mizorowski. Jacob Mizorowski took a page out of Woodruff's book and was just pounding the strike zone. Mizorowski was just pouring in the strikes last night. He was landing all of his off-speed pitches for strikes, which was fantastic to see. And then we find out after the game that he was fighting being sick, and he said he was feeling like he was going to throw up on the mound, which is, it is what it is. But, I mean, it's better than him feeling like he's got a twinge in his hamstring or something like that. So much rather have him have the flu than an adductor strain like Yelich has, So it's a bummer that he couldn't go longer last night because he was pitching pretty well. But it's also good that he is going to be good for his next start. Jake Bauers had a 107-mile-an-hour exit velocity, 418-foot home run to left center field. If he maintains any sort of consistency with his power, I will make and fill out an apology form to him myself. But it's got to be consistent. That's what I need from Bowers when it comes to his power. Like I said, I don't care if you have 4 home runs in 5 days in 2 series against the Marlins and the Pirates. I don't give a shit about that. But like game 1, when you hit a 3-run home run after the opener strategy gave you a 2-0 deficit, that stuff to me matters 10 times more than 4 home runs in 5 games against shitty teams.
Yeah.
So there's that from last night. Couple other things. It was cool. It didn't matter eventually because the Brewers still lost, but it was cool that Brandon Lockridge got to have a clutch hit. That was a good job by him. That stuff still matters. We've talked about this in the past. It doesn't make it not a clutch hit just because the Brewers ended up losing the game, because it was still a clutch hit at the time because you don't know the future in that moment. So Brandon Lockridge still deserves some credit for that. That's still a good thing that they can build on.
Yes, sir.
Now, I mentioned it with James Wood, the home run that he hit in the 3rd game of the National Series. We get to another situation where there's a home run hit on an inside pitch to a lefty, and Bill Schrader says that wasn't even a strike. And I have a bone to pick with Bill Schrader. He's fantastic. But I strongly disagree with him on this specific instance of lefties getting pitches that are about 2 inches inside on fastballs. That is a dream pitch to pull. When you're a batter and you see a pitch coming inside, you know that that's a pitch you can pull. All you have to do is time it right, and you can absolutely mash those pitches. So I get where Bill Schrader's coming from, that if the pitch is going to be let go, it's going to be a ball. But when you see a pitch coming 95 miles an hour and it's coming straight, all you have to do is swing early. That's the only thing you have to do to combat an inside pitch is to swing early. And guys can mash those pitches. So that's unfortunately what happened to Mizorowski and Woodruff against some good hitters. The last 2 things that I want to talk about, both of them happened in the 9th inning. I'm going to go to Garrett Mitchell first because I know I just talked about it in the 2nd game of the National Series that he stared at a pitch and didn't swing at a good pitch and was being too patient. And then in this game, he's up 3-1 and he stares at a pretty much middle fastball. But I just want to give some context onto why I was okay with it. I actually talked myself through this while Jake and I were talking last night and talked myself through why I was okay with it. That Garrett Mitchell, by seeing that pitch go for a strike, it sets up a full count with runners on 2nd, 3rd, and 2 outs. That if Garrett Mitchell hits like an infield tapper or even decides that he wants to get nuts and lay down a squeeze or, something like that, or hits a ball to the second baseman that gets bobbled, anything that Garrett Mitchell does that he can reach first base on faster than Jake Bowers would be able to score from third base with a head start, that the Brewers would win the game in that situation.
Yep.
So I just wanted to give a little context to why I was okay with Garrett Mitchell taking that second strike after not being okay with it and then being like, why would he do that? And then it's like, oh, the runners get a head start. Okay. If you get something where Garrett Mitchell can beat something out, then the Brewers win. And the last thing is Trevor McGill. This is where I was going to say that I wanted to talk about Trevor McGill. Is he has not had a clean inning this year. He's had multiple blown saves, and even some of the foul balls that he's allowed have been sharply hit. I'm seeing it as more of a command thing. I feel like I've only seen him throw his curveball for a strike like 3 times. And then he's just having to overuse his fastball, which when you only have 2 pitches and you can't throw your curveball for strikes, it makes it really easy to guess fastball. My solution, and Murphy said post-game that they're talking about making changes in the 9th, and they mentioned it again today that, it's not that they're going to just change everybody's roles, but you might see different guys in the 9th is what he said. I think maybe Pat Murphy should use Trevor McGill as an opener for somebody.
Yeah.
That was my thought. You give him something different to look at. And the guy that I thought maybe to do that for would be tomorrow, being Thursday, having him open for Brandon Sproat. That was my thought. You give him a chance to go out there with a clean inning, a lot less stress, knowing that there's plenty of game left. You take off some of that pressure and let him get right. That was my thought / solution for getting Trevor McGill right. So what did you have from last night's first game against the Blue Jays?
Yeah, so Miz goes 5 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 5 Ks. And even in his last start versus Boston, going back to last week, the 6th inning is what got him. He started losing commands, threw a lot of balls. Same thing happened in this one where the 6th inning is the one that kind of got to him. And my thought process is until he can make that curveball be a put-out pitch, people are just going to be sitting on the speed. So he needs something that's a little bit slower. I mean, the slider being 95 to 97 is just filthy. Like, let's not kid ourselves. The fastball, he throws it anywhere from 97 to 101. I mean, when the guy's trying to focus and throw the fastball for a strike, he throws it 98 miles an hour. Think about that. That's a great rock bottom to be at. Let's just say that right now. So once he gets that curveball command to be something that he's confident in to put somebody out with it, that's when the 6th inning, 7th inning, then he can start getting into some real conversations with some of these other, aces, the Scoobles and the Schemes of the world, where they have the off-speed stuff where they can throw it at any single time to any single batter. That's the next step for Mizorowski. I could talk about the bullpen again. Don't really want to. Trevor McGill got some stuff to figure out. Abner Uribe got some stuff to figure out. Once those guys figure it out, we're going to start getting some people back here in the next 5 weeks. We're going to be all right. So Brewers fans, we need to practice patience.
Yep. Patience
is going to be a necessity over the next 6 weeks with this team. Let's just see how many W's we can rack up. Let's get healthy. Hopefully more people don't get hurt. But I have a couple things I want to say. First of all, Bowers and Sanchez mashing. Sanchez, Contreras, and Lockridge all at clutch hits, all with two out RBIs. That's a positive sign for me.
100%.
So over the last 2 games where we're talking about, the Brewers hit 4 home runs, that still could be a positive. They need to add on stacking traffic in that Washington game, but that's a positive that they're hitting for power. That's something that was an issue coming into this season. Getting 2 more home runs from Sanchez and Bowers, getting 2 out RBIs, that's another step in the right direction for me. So you talked about, Sal Frelick. He's hitting for a poor batting average right now, but he's still getting walks. I mean, last night he had 2 walks, so he got on base a couple times. Another guy, Rengifo, needs to start getting on base. David Hamilton needs to start getting on base. Those are guys where their job is to start getting on base a little bit more to, continue moving this line. Joey Ortiz, I swear to God, that guy bats with the bases loaded 1 out of every 4 at bats. I swear to God he does, dude. Now
we're 16 games in, and he's spent a quarter of them getting at bats with the bases loaded.
Right. I mean, I'm probably being a little dramatic, but
he's got 4 opportunities in 16 games. That's a quarter of the games.
Yeah. So, and it felt like last year, it felt like 25% too, honestly. So last thing I wanted to talk about, and it's something that you said you were going to let me say since I said it first last night. You get into a situation where you get the first out in the 10th inning, and you have first base open because the runner starts on second, and you have one of the best players in baseball up to bat. Welcome to first base is what the decision should have been.
Nope. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., this is your position on defense. This is now your position on offense.
And I'm going to say something that you said after he ripped a double that took the lead for the Blue Jays. And I forgot who was batting behind him, but they ended up intentionally walking him. And something you said online when we were talking is you said, nothing like learning your – what would you say? Nothing like learning
nothing like learning too late from your mistakes?
Yeah, something like learning your lesson immediately. It's like, yeah, true. That's literally what they just did. They learned their lesson in real time. Like, maybe we should have walked that guy before and set up a double play.
Yep.
That sounds like a smart idea.
Yep.
Especially when you just got the first out on a weak pop-up.
Yep.
You set up the double play and then see what happens after that. Maybe you can get another clutch hit and you can win this ball game.
Yep.
But we're in this situation now. 6 straight L's for the Brewers. Season's not over, obviously. It's May or April. Sorry, it's April. I keep thinking about May because we're getting a bunch of people back in May, it sounds like. So Yeah, the Brewers, they play in about an hour and a half here, so hopefully they can get off the losing streak and start stacking some W's together.
Yeah, so they play tonight and tomorrow against the Blue Jays yet. They play Friday through Sunday at Miami, and then next week we'll also have the first of the 3-game series in Detroit. So we'll have 6 games next week. So we'll have just Brewers for a couple weeks, but keep an eye. Like I said, we're going to be ramping up our Bucks coverage for the offseason pretty quick here. So keep an eye out for announcements on that. Other than that, we'll see you guys on Tuesday for our live mock drafts as part of our draft series. And then we'll see you guys again next Wednesday to talk more Brewers. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.